Normalement, il devrait marcher là le flux. Hello everyone, welcome on this webinar. I'm Mathieu. Um, Thanks everyone for watching this. So just to make a quick presentation of Meta API. Um, we are editing a platform to automate um, many APIs and to create your own automation uh, between any API you want. And our catalog of API is very open, so you can plug any API you want and connect almost everything. So today we will show you how we will automate some features and how we will explore Notion. So we will try to create two automation. The first one will be to automate the creation of page inside Notion, and the second one will be to create a note tapping system for Notion to to ping your coworkers to ask you to add some comments. So let's get started. We will start by creating a new spell inside the interface, and we will do it with Lumo. So Lumo is our new low-code interface that you will be able to use, and you just have to manipulate some blocks to have your own algorithm, and you can also have some add some little piece of code inside Lumo. So with that, you will be able to mix both no code and code experience. So let's get started. We will create a new spell. We will Notion page generation. Perfect. So that's our name. And we have right here our payload. So the payload is mandatory for all spells that will contain all the data inside each automation, and each time you made a request on Meta API on your spell, that will contain all the data inside. And then we will be able to add, we have multiple blocks right here, and we will play with these blocks to create our automation. So we want to automate the creation of page inside Notion. So I have here one of my Notion page, and I want, for example, at Meta API, we do a weekly every week. And inside this weekly, we have some mandatory topic for anyone to say. So it's like the news. It's like I have a template right here. It's like the news, the tax progression, if anyone meet any block roads, and if there are any feedbacks or IDs. So we want to automate this page generation to say every week we want, for example, to create this page for all the team with the date, with the current date, um, to allow all our team to fill it. Um, so we will add a new connector, so related to Notion. Sorry, Notion, and we want to create a page. Okay, we will add it. So we have our block right here, and on the right you will find all the settings you can and all the parameters available in API, because at Meta API you can connect directly to each endpoint, and you you will be able to access and configure anything you want. So let's have a look to this endpoint. So we need to um, set up your own account. So I have already my account right here, but you can also add and configure your own account. So directly on Notion, you can generate your API key and then put it here, and we will take care of everything else. And the server is the right one. We have to set the Notion version. So as a value, perfect. And I see inside the body, which will contain all the data, I need to send to Notion to create a page. I have many elements. Basically, you have a parent property to set where the page should be created on which parent, and then you have some properties to fill. These properties are related to the page property. So if I go back to Notion, for example, right here, it will be my icon, my cover, the title, etc. Everything inside the page. It's not about property, it's about children. So you can find more element about this. For example, inside the documentation, you can see all the field you can create for a page. So we don't have all these elements right now, and we will be able to generate it right here, but I'm a little bit lazy, and what I want to do is I have here a template with some titles already made, and I want to read this template and then create the page based on this template, because every time if we have, for example, a new topic to discuss, or if you want to edit and modify this template for the next time, that will be great to directly add a new title right here and say, okay, this template will be used for the next page generation. So I will disable this block right now, and I want to retrieve this page to see what I will have inside this page. So I will add a new block for Notion. Perfect. I will looking for page, retrieve a page. Perfect. I will add it. I configure the authentication. And right here, I need to fill up the ID of the page I want to retrieve. So I have right here the ID inside the URL. I can paste it directly here, but I think I will need this ID later. So I will store it inside the payload. So I will say, okay, that's my template ID. I will pass it here. So that will create a variable um, named template ID. So I have a block right here with a variable sign which will hold this value and say, okay, I want to plug this value to the template ID. Perfect. I will set up the Notion version and let's try it. Okay, so on each block you will find this 9 notification to say, hey, this block has been run, executed one time, and inside the block I have the response of this block, and you can, if you click on it, you can see it in full page. And if his block is run multiple time, you can see it, for example, inside the loop. You will see later, but inside the loop, you will see each time it's executed. So you can see each time all the data and all the the information given by this block. So perfect. So I see what I see. I have the editor, the creator, the parent page. Okay. And I see I have a property named title with an ID. Title. Okay. Here I have my title. But as you can see, I have nothing related to the content inside this API. I just have, the template and some some properties and metadata about the page, but nothing related to the content. So all my title right here, maybe I have an image, etc. Don't have any of this. So I think I must use another block, another endpoint. That should be the children of the page. Okay, so I will add it. Click edit. I set up my account. Which let's put 100. Okay, the ID will be the same. I will retrieve the template ID, the Notion version. Okay, I will copy paste the one. You can switch right here between a variable or a value. I can set, for example, I use many times the Notion version, so I could, for example, put it inside a variable. Okay, okay. Let's try to see what I have inside this block. Okay, I will click on it. Okay, so now I have a result with multiple blocks. So I can see I have here one heading. So I have one blocks right here with news. Okay. One paragraph, one empty paragraph, another block, task progression. So I have one block, one block, one block, one block, one. Okay. So I think I have everything. See, perfect. So I want to take all this block to generate the body inside the create page block. To say, hey, okay, I have all these block, all these children block right here. Take all of them and do whatever you want with this block. So for that, I will need to create a new body and not this custom value, this static value. I want to, to create a full JSON data. So for this, I will use the block function. With the block function, you can write some JavaScript code. So I will call it, for example, page generation. Perfect. And inside this block, I will create my all my page. So I have already set up everything for you to spare some time. Let me get it. So basically we have to return an object, and inside this object we will have to fill it with everything inside of, for example, all the page property we want to set. So I have already done it. So let's paste it. I will give a look to how it's working. So I will return my parent page. So I have to set up where this new page will be stored. So I have to set some on a value. The parent ID of this page will be hosting this new page. So I want to take this template and I want to create each page inside this one. So that's our weekly list. So I will take this ID. I will go back to my payload and say, okay, my parent ID will be this one. Perfect. So I will go back to my function and say, okay, I want to put as a parameter my parent ID. That will be a string. So I name it generated automatically and say, okay, this parent ID, the page ID will be this parameter. So the parameter coming here from this block. Perfect. I add a nice icon with a little star, and the property title would be a title containing a text with weekly and a date. So for the date, I can say const date generation. That will be our current date. New date. So that's some JavaScript code. And I say, okay, current date will be current date dot to local date string. That's a function to display a date as a your own local way to display date. I will give you some example with FR for French date, but I could say, for example, US if you have a date formatted for the United States, etc. So, and for all the children, I want to take here everything inside. So inside this block, inside this object, I want all the results. So I will add the parameter with this. So it's my retrieve block children. I will call it retrieve block children. Okay. So it will be put as a parameter right here. So this is done automatically. Say, okay, this parameter I want as children of this page, this variable dot result. And this result will give me this object. So this array of all these objects inside. Let's hit run. We will see what is generated in this block before connecting it to the create page. So I can see right here as a response, I have, so it will generate inside this parent which is a page ID. If you want, for example, to push data inside the database, that will be the same. So that's my parent ID. I will check it. CA, BCA, perfect. I have an emoji. I have some tags, so I see here. This is my current date, and I have many children, which is take as an example this template. Perfect. So I think my body is okay right now. So I will take back to this block and I will say, okay, my body, I want to connect it to page generation. That's it. And I will enable this block. And we will run it. Perfect, everything fine. And if we go back to our Notion weekly list, we have right now our page, and with inside this page, we see we had this icon, which is not inside our model, our templates, and we have everything inside our title. So let's try some change. If, for example, we go back to our template and say, okay, we want to do, for example, feedback ID about a project or about the organization. No, but if you want to make some subtitles, so I have edited this page. Go back here. I will generate it again. And if everything went fine, I will have a new page with inside the new template. So I have my new page and inside the new template. So that's perfect. I will show you about the date. If, for example, I change here to look at date string, if I said, for example, I want the US version of date formatting, let's run it. That will generate the date in another format. So since you have access to the function block, you can do whatever you want. So perfect. So you have right now a spell to generate page. So what we can do now is to publish it. Say it's my V1. I push it in on production. So that will create a new version of your spell and save it. So if you want, for example, to to try some modification, maybe adding a new connector to notify people, for example, on Slack or on Discord to say, hey, we have this new weekly page, you have to fill it. Um, you can use a block to generate a notification, test it on development, and once you are ready, you can publish it on live directly. And that's great because you can both work on development and then push it to production later. So now it's published. I will go back to the main page and say, for example, I want to schedule it to say, okay, every week on Monday at, for example, 9 a.m., I will generate a new page. Next, I can change right here the template ID and the parent ID if I want to have different version between development and production. I will save it, and that's it. So every Monday morning, I will have a new Notion page generated directly. So that's our first spell. That's our first meet um, with Lumo. Let's try to create another one a little bit more complex and to go deeper inside Lumo. So I will go back to our spell page. I will create a new one. And for this one, I don't know if you have this problem on Notion, but sometimes you ping some people inside comments. For example, I will go back to Go back to my templates. Okay, let's say this page you are pinging someone, to say, hey, I have things this thing on this project, and I need your opinion about it. I needed to fill this kind of page, and you have to do it again and again because no one no one see your notification. So what we want to do is to play with these comments to generate automatically, ping message to um, to say to the person, hey, you have something to respond. Please come back to Notion to respond my answer. So we want to play with this comment. So basically, we want the API to generate a example a. Please do. Please respond. Okay, we want to generate something like that. So to do this, create a new space, say a title, and we want to add a block. Notion, and we want to retrieve all the comments on the page. So okay, I will choose my account. So the block ID will be our page ID because you can retrieve comment on a page, or if you have some text here, you can, for example, add a comment on a text specifically. So each block have their own ID. So you can also retrieve ID on each block, but that will imply to do some multiple loops to iterate over each block. We'll stay for this webinar and this demonstration only on the top comments on the page. So I will take my page ID. I will edit my payload. So I will say page to look up. Keep the ID. Say, okay, I want to retrieve all the comments from this page. Let's say 100. The Notion version is still the same. Let's run it to see what we have. So I have here a list of comments. So I have a result. I will paint it full page. That will be more comfortable. So I have here one comment with the creator, with the user ID, the page ID, and rich text. That's great because I have right here the text. So test is this one, and I have also a mention. So I have an object with type mention, which is linked to me, to the person who mentioned it. So, and I have as a plain text the mention. So I want to detect if I have a mention inside the comment, because you can also say, hey, everyone, announcement. If we don't have a mention inside our comment, I don't want to trigger anyone because I have no one to trigger. So I will delete this one, and so we'll need to loop over all the results to um, iterate over each comment, and on each comment detect if we have any mention, and if we have any mention, we will generate a new command directly by the API. So I will create a new loop. So iterate over comments. And to iterate over comments, I need to iterate over an array. So right now, from these blocks, I don't have an array. I have an object, and I just want to iterate over result. So for this, I need to extract result from this object. Right now, we are still working on a feature to pick directly the result object from this input. But for now, you have to use a function block to extract it. That will be um, a very quick function. So I will call it extract results. And for example, you can do some transformation, filtering inside the block. Maybe that will help us later. So we want to return, so from this block, only the result. So I will add a parameter from retrieve comment. So I have right here. So I want to retrieve comment dot result. Perfect. I will say that's an array. So here I can select right now extract result. Let's run it and see what's happened. Okay, so I see I have retrieved all the my comments. I have extracted, so I see here what has been extracted, and I have iterated over all the commands and only once because I have only one command at this time. And I will have here inside each item, I will add another so you can see. Set this command, so negate, and I will see two. Perfect. If I click on it, I can see the object number one that will be inside this item, and I have result number two that is also, because for each loop we will generate for you two variables. This one is the item, so that will contain all the objects inside inside this array, and this is the index that just counter starting from 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. So it's good for example, if you want to iterate over some large array and you want to make some comparing some value, see where we are inside my array. You can have multiple thing inside. So first thing we want to do, we want to check if inside the comment we have a type mention, because we are only interested by this kind of uh, of blocks. We just want to have the dimension blocks. So for this, we will create a function to extract dimension. So if because we will need also, if we found someone mentioned inside the comment, we will need after that to generate a new comment with the name of the person. So we want to extract it and see if we have someone inside. Check someone has been mentioned. Okay, I will configure it. So I want as a parameter my item. I will call it, so it's a comment. And I will see, okay, I want to see if I have a mention inside. So as I will create a new variable as a mention, and I will say, okay, I want to see inside comment. Inside the comment, I will check it. Inside comment, I want to check if I have, okay, I want to check if I have inside. So it's inside rich text, which is an array, and inside this array, because all the texts are composed with many, sub-blocks, sub-elements. So inside this sub-element, I want to see, okay, if I have a type mention, and if yes, I want to take everything from this. So if comments dot reach text dot for example find, so is to find someone inside an array, I will say okay, that will be I will call it an item, and I say okay, if item dot type equal to mention. So right here I'm comparing, see inside here, inside rich text, which is an array, say, okay, find an object with type which is equal to mention. If I have something, I will return. So as a mention is it's a block. So it's my block inside rich text. So I will return it dot because I will return I'm inside this object, and I'm only concerned with this mention object, which contains the user, inside the user, the ID, etc., etc. And I know I want, for example, the name. So I will say mention dot mention. Okay, we'll run it. Okay, and I see if I click on it, I have 2 times and I have two people. It's me twice. I will delete this comment. Check again. One, and just me. Perfect. If I add, for example, another comment, no one here. I run it again. I see 2, and on this one, that's right. I should be. I have only 1 result, but I have 2. That that could be a bug. That's the demo effect. But I have only 1 comment with someone mentioned. So let's move on and yes, say okay. If I have something inside this, so if I have so check if someone has been mentioned. So if you can use exist. So if I have a value here, I will go inside this condition, and inside this block condition you can do so if all the conditions are met, that will going right here. If I have elf is elf, you can build all your condition the way you want. So okay, so if someone has been mentioned, I want to add my ping. So I will create through the API a new comment. So let's say comments. Okay, add comment to page. We'll select my account. That will be our version. And to create a comment, I need to say where I want to create the comment and would be the text inside the comment. So we will build it, and for this one we will do it directly inside the block. So you can see you can have some static value inside this editor, but you can also add dynamic value and use the variables right here. So my page ID will be my page to look up. So if you want to use a variable directly inside this kind of custom value, you just have to take the ID right here. So that will be my page ID. And inside my rich text, I want to say, hey, and I will create a mention block like we had later. So say, so that will be another block mention with inside a user, and the user will be the user I have here. I have already all the information right here, so I will take this variable dot user to use it. Go back here, dot user, perfect. And for example, I can add another block, say, I need your answer. So that will create our full message inside. I think it's fine, so let's run it. Okay, so two iteration. I have that's I go back to what I said. That's correct because on each iteration I have written something, but inside my condition I say if something exists on it, and on the second time there were nothing, so that's okay, that's normal. I have here only one trigger, so that the respond from the API, and I see the API has been well triggered. So let's have a look, and that's it. We are right here, a ping notification. So if let's delete it, and let's delete this comment and try again. If I try again, I shouldn't have any trigger from here. Perfect. So nothing. That's some time Notion is doing weird stuff. Not looking for people inside. Perfect. Uh, can you please explain this? Let's add a comment. Let's run our automation. A new item is generated, and I have the ping right here. So I didn't check my my account, but I should have many notification right now because you are playing with this. So that could be a great way for you to, for example, to generate some auto-pin comments if you have, for example, a page where you are following a project and you have to interact with many people. That could be an automatic way. So don't abuse it. But for example, once like the other spell, like once a day, once a week, if you want to check anyone and say, okay, you have to ping someone again, you can do like this. So I think it's a great way to to delete like this. Um, that's it. So we have two our two spells working. That's perfect. Just to give you a quick look on about the other block inside Lumo. So we have these variable blocks that will help you to create, for example, if you want to create inside a block um, some variable with static value, you can do it like this, and you create string numbers. You can create some dates. We have some nice picker for the dates. You can create a new object. You can create whatever you want right here. We have also a block named block storage that will use our internal database to store and retrieve value from the database. So for example, if you want to sync um, if you have to have, I can say that between each execution, if you want to keep a state of the previous execution to the next one, for example, if you are synchronizing data, it's great to say, okay, I have synchronized all the data, and then I will save the last date where the data has been synchronized. So next time I can pick the date from the storage and iterate again. So, and also the storage is shared between all all automation. So you can have, for example, one automation which are creating many comments and many things, and then store it inside meta storage, and then use it inside another automation. So it's a great way to share value and keep a state, having a persistent storage. And that's it. And the last one, I can use it right now. Let me remove this block. Also, you can drag and drop the blocks if you want to reorder them inside the spell, but you have also an end block to say to um, stop the execution. For example, if you want inside a loop, you are looking for a value and say, okay, I found the value, I want to stop all my execution. So you can use this block to say, hey, this is a variable. You can return a variable, or you can create your own object or anything you want um, from the spell. If you want, for example, to reuse a result inside another automation tool, because you can use, for example, Meta API in combination with tools like um, Make, Zapier, whatever we support. You can trigger it um, from Make, go on Meta API, do all your stuff, play with APIs and services not available, for example, on Zapier or Make, and then return some value with this block. And when the value is returned, you can go back on Make and follow up your automation though. So uh, it's a great thing to if you are missing some connector on you have to do some you know a very specific data processing. That's a great way to use Meta API, and of course you can trigger it with a webhook. You can um, um, you can connect it to a webhook So the spell could be triggered by a webhook and not only by a scheduler if you want. So that's a great way to do it. So that's uh, that's all, guys. I see I have some question. Yes, to answer to Chris, we have planned to add new APIs. We add more and more APIs every day. So we have more than 500 public API right now, but you can add, and that's our one of our core value. You can add your own API without waiting for us. So if you have an open API or Swagger file, you can find it on many documentation, API documentation. You can upload it, and your API will be available in seconds. And if you don't have an API, you can use our editor, and that will be a step-by-step editor to create this file, and this file will be generated as an open API. So after that, you can use whatever you want. So we will add more and more API every day. And also, yes, you can add your own database. If you have an external database, um, you can add it not yet from Limo, but you can add it from our code editor, because we also support, we have our code editor, which are our legacy features. So we support dependencies. Dependencies will be coming next time on Limo. And right here, you can add, for example, MySQL, NoSQL, any database you want, and plug it inside your code and write some JavaScript and TypeScript code. And as well, you can add any connector you want. So that's it. If you don't have any question, thanks for your participation. And if you have any more question or comments, or if you want to see, for example, some use case, um, with a step-by-step webinar like this one, with, I don't know, with other services or anything, uh, just shoot it on the chat or in the comment on this video. And you can also meet us on our Discord. We have a Discord server. So if you have any question from some European guy, if you have around, we will be participating to the next API Days. So um, it's in December 14, 15, and 16. And after that, as if you want to participate on the API Days, we have some free tickets. So just reach us on our Discord. And thanks for your attention, and see you next. Bye.